Good morning. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm that no matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we're so glad you're with us. And if you are visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book in the living room. There's a person staffing that table. And if you would like to join us for coffee hour downstairs, visitors, please feel free to take a green mug so that we can be sure to greet you. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, remember to wear your name tags with your pronoun stickers. And if you need a new name tag, you can see the person at the visitor's table in the living room. I'm Tony Metters. I'm an African-American man. My pronouns are he and him. I'm pleased to be with you today as your worship associate. Our music today will be provided by Jamie Passman. We recognize that individuals of all ages and abilities have different needs during the service. In the living room at the back of the sanctuary, we provide a cart of fidgets and drawing supplies. If at any point you feel the need for movement, please feel free to get up and grab a fidget and engage in drawing, or stand and sit on the floor in the living room. There are also different types of seating available in the back of the sanctuary. Please see a greeter for assistance if needed. May each of you know that you are welcome in this house of peace, and may our worship and fellowship this morning touch your heart, mind, and spirit. Beth?
Thank you, Tony. I want to add my greeting to that of Tony's. I'm the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. My pronouns are she, they. I am a short, white woman with glasses and red hair and a red stole. Wow. That has never happened to me before.
Am I fired?
I was going to say not yet.
Just show me the door.
Now, we do the physical description at times as a way to be inclusive because we know that people have differing visual needs and capacities. So whether you're online or you're here, in just about every movement space that I'm in these days, we're doing that as a matter of accessibility. So that's why Tony and I do that. It's good to be with you this morning. This morning we are crowdsourcing courage. So yes, I know. If you have not received an index card from the back, I encourage you to raise your hand. And during this time, I'm going to ask you to write down what courage or being courageous means to you or looks like for you. And they're going to be collected at the offering. Does that sound good? All right, so be courageous, write your courage, so that we can weave courage together. I'm excited this morning to be introducing our plate chair this morning and Joseph Standing Bear Schranz. As we do that, on occasion, what we do is we acknowledge that we in the western suburbs inhabit areas that are the traditional territories of indigenous people, try to live into a more just world. And so Midwest Soaring is our plate chair this morning. And what that means is every month we have an organization that we share our entire collection in this service, the second Sunday of the month, but you can donate throughout the month online. So right now it's just an honor to welcome back Joseph Standing Bear Schranz. You want to come up and tell us about Midwest Soaring?
Ani bonjour, which means hello, how are you? My foundation, I'm very proud of the people that we have working with us. We have worked in 35 states on different issues over the years. We had the only Native American bison herd, into which I gave to the Cherokee Nation 4 years ago, I gave them 29 bison. When they were with me and Leroy, we had them on 30 acres, and now they're on 1,000 acres. So I wanted to put them back on the prairie, and that's where they are. We've been very lucky and blessed to work with Glenn Ellen that after a 4-year project, we finally signed the papers for a $4 million project that we're trying to redo the McKee House. It's in Churchill Woods. It's on 263 acres. It's got 7 islands. And I can't think of a better place to put a Native American educational and environmental center at. So we're in the process of fundraising for that. And our usual powwow, which we do at the Page County Fairground the second weekend of October. But basically what we're trying to do, what we're all trying to do is trying to be human, trying to help each other. And one of the things that I do and I really enjoy is when we ask our young people for scholarships to apply. And we've been able over the years to give out $61,000 scholarships since we started. And when I get the applications, I don't always go for the A student. I go for the student that's had a lower background, and I always, have a conversation with them and ask them why they started out with lesser grades. And usually it's because of the parents, one or both, were addicted to some sort of problem. We have, as you know, probably may not know, we have the highest suicide rate, the highest dropout rate, highest drug problem, and we're trying to make that go down. We've had some good success with that. Now, percentage-wise, if you talk about kids going to college, there's about 17% of our people attempt to go to college, as versus non-native 74%. So it's always an economic challenge to complete that once we start. I was speaking to some people yesterday about life, what that life means. And I'm sure this applies to you too. We're so busy living life, sometimes we fail to see even the smallest things. And when each of us walk, unbeknownst to us, we're crushing things as we walk. We never see that. And nevertheless, those little things that look upwards, wherever they are, all they see is our foot coming down. And I thought about that globally, what our actions do with the environment, and not knowing what we do, how it affects somebody else. We never see them, but yet that foot is coming down and it's smashing them. Give great thought to the things you do, because it does matter. It matters to these young people. Yesterday I was talking to a Cub Scout group, and we were talking about some of the things I've been teaching. And I always ask the young people, what important word starts with L? And everybody gets love. Their little hand goes up and they say love. Well, yesterday I asked that same question to a little group about what important word starts with R, reverence and respect. Do you know in all these years, this child yesterday was the 4th child that ever said respect. That respect, that reverence for life, for somehow was missing. I don't know why that's missing. When I was a young boy, I listened to my elders. I had my ears open. I listened to what they taught me. It guided my life to what I do today. I've worked in 35 states over the years, many, many different issues, including Hawaii and a little bit of the Arctic and environmental issues that most of you guys are never aware of. I was in a pipeline when the pipeline happened, and many of you may not have heard about what that pipeline was about. It was about people trying to protect their land, not having that water contaminate their water. And if you were down here, you either did not hear that story, or they try to minimize it like it was only a few people. Well, it was thousands of people. When I went to that camp, there were thousands of people, and they were in unity with protecting the environment. There was a road going down to the river, and tribes that had not been traditionally friendly towards each other were there supporting. All the flags were flying. For instance, the Cherokee brought pellets of water, and the Ho-Chunks brought wood that was cut. And if I was to tell you some of the things that they did to the people there, you would say, how is that possible? At one time, and I'm telling you because I've seen it, there were 3 unmarked military tanks up on the ridge. Now, where do you have 3 unmarked military tanks just popping out of nowhere that nobody knows about? And most of the military people that were out there, in fact, all of them had no insignias on. And they were clearly military. They had no insignias. You know, our people were armed with 2 things, faith and drums, and that's what we had, faith and drums. You know, we honor this land and protect it. We were talking about the land acknowledgement. And most of you may not know what that number is, 574. That's the federally recognized tribes that we still have. And recently, the current administration is trying to minimize that, and we don't appreciate that. Many years ago, I was the leader in this state of the American Indian Movement, AIM. And we're considering starting that again because I'm disturbed by the things I see. I will not let our rights erode. If I'm saying too much, pardon me, but I'm speaking from my heart, and I hope I'm not going too far and saying too much, but these things matter to me. When we do land acknowledgements, I've done many, Brookfield Zoo just recently, most of the colleges, universities, and schools, and churches, and everybody always makes the same mistake when they start. They realize that it's native land, and they give kind of thought to it a little bit, and they usually wind up, apologizing to the Potawatomi and 2 or 3 tribes. And I said, no, don't do that. I said, that's not good. When we acknowledge a land acknowledgement, we want to acknowledge that this very ground that this church is on, in fact, the whole country is on, is Native American land. Our ancestors from our tribes going back 30, 40,000 years or more were part of this land. That fact cannot be ignored. We still very much care about that, and that's in my heart telling you that. We have very busy lives, and things that we do, sometimes we don't realize the impact, as I mentioned earlier. I'll give you, for instance, a statistic. One of the reservations, now picture this, over 26,000 miles is one reservation out west, and there are 13 places to eat. Think about that, 13 places to eat. Now, if you're an elder, if you're a single parent, you don't have any money, you don't have any car, and you're walking off somewhere, you may make your destination, and you may not. You never hear about the people that, when the snow melts in the spring, and the bodies that are found along the road, just trying to get food. Now, this isn't some third world, other country, other continent. This is right here. We're happy and content, and everybody thinks they are, but they're not realizing the things that are happening around them. We become kind of immune and insulated against, the pain and suffering. But anyway, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. And recently I had a lot of medical problems these last 10 months and survived them, fortunately. And give great thanks to the Creator. Every day when I wake up, I stand up and I pray for the things I have. I don't worry about the things I don't have, but the people around me, the gifts that I have, that's what's important. None of us can change yesterday. Sometimes I speak, people cry. I said, don't cry. We can't change yesterday. We have to work today on making tomorrow better. And as human beings, if we really believe in the Great Spirit, which I do, and I'm sure you do, that is a challenge for us every day to meet. Not easy, because we come set in our ways. I've seen many, many people over the years, and I've spoken for, I've been an activist in my life now 50 years. 50 years of seeing many, many, many faces like yours, and many good hearts. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and I hope I didn't say too much, offend anybody. I didn't mean to do that, but from my heart, I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you.
No offense at all. No offense. If we are offended at the truth, then we need to examine our relationship with truth. and you spoke truth today. Thank you. I hope that as the Glen Ellen project continues, goes on, that this isn't a one-off, that we see each other once a year, but that somehow we find our way into a relationship that is meaningful and significant and works for Midwest Soaring and the work that you're doing overall. So thank you. Deep bows. I'm going to invite you to take a breath with me. Yeah. Because really what Joseph is talking about is liberating love. A love that, for all beings, that respect, that reverence for life. It is a love that liberates. I call us into worship this morning with words by Tess Baumberger. Love that liberates us all. Today we thank you for our fears, for what we fear is the destruction of what we value, justice and the equitable treatment of all, pluralism, affirmations of interdependence, care for earth, generosity of heart, and transformation of our spirits and our world. Thank you that we are afraid because it shows us what we value. If the cost of safety is forsaking our values, may we continue to be afraid. May we lean into our fears and show our values despite them. May we take comfort in one another. May we take time to rest, to laugh, and to dance. May we find beauty in a troubled world. May we feel and live the love that liberates us all. As we consider courage this morning, we consider it in terms of liberating love. I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing our opening song. It's number 108 in your gray hymnal.
Seated. Chalice Lighting Words by Michael Muffson. This little flame reminds us that even in the darkest darkness, we can create illumination. It may just be a lonely little flame, but when we hold it out against the darkness, we can see a little way behind us where we have come from. And when we see a little way before us in each direction. And with our little flame of hope illuminating just enough, we may step. But this candle is not alone. It stands beside all the candles we have ignited. It stands beside all the candles that have been lit in churches and homes, in the streets and in vigils. With every step, we bring the candles closer. With each new candle, the light grows brighter. And just beyond the halo's edge, we can just make out the streams and tributaries of stepping candles flowing into an ocean of light, illuminating a way forward to the world we are all working for.
Good morning. I'm Pam Fodor, Director of Programs here at the church, and my pronouns are she and her. When there are challenges in front of me, when my mind tells me I can't, I look inside myself and find the strength that lives deep down and tell my mind, yes, I can.
There's always a lot going on around church, and you can read all about it in the news and notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday. Yay! And there are printed copies available. And if you would like to receive news and notes, if you're not already, stop by the welcome desk in the living room and you will get them. Today we have some announcements, so I'm going to invite Matt Brown up.
Hey everyone, I wanted to tell you all about the UU Men's Retreat. It is March 7th, 8th, and 9th, with an option just to attend on the 8th. It's open to all faiths and anybody who identifies as male. The theme this year is Men Uplifting Men. If this is something you might be interested in, you can come and talk to me after service. You can also talk to Nye when he's here. He's not today, but I'll be downstairs at coffee hour and would love to see you there. Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Chris Haney. All right.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My pronouns for today are member and leader of the pledge campaign for this year, and I just want to tell you a quick story to begin with. So many of you remember my daughter, Ellie, from her many years at church here. She's now 23 years old and married. One of the favorite things that she liked to do when we were little was bath time. She would always play in the tub with her plastic pitcher of water, and I would hold out my hand like this and make a cup, and she would fill it, and then I would let my finger out the bottom and drain it. And we do this over and over and over again, and she would always say, again, 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 again. So after 20, 30 times, because you know all 2- and 3-year-olds have OCD, we finally got out of the bathtub. But why I tell you this story is because we are at the time of our church here when we have to say again to fill up our cup for the pledge for the 25-26 church year. So you'll be hearing more about those information over the coming weeks, and we hope you're excited. We're excited, and we want you to be excited then too. So without further ado, I will leave it on. Thank you.
Many of us came to this church and Unitarian Universalism generally, in part because we believe questions speak to our spirit. Because we believe we can find strength in uncertainty. Because we can celebrate beauty in imperfection. Because we find affirmation in service. Because we recognize that what we do matters. What we say makes an impact. How we move and work in the world resonates throughout this fragile, resilient web of life. Our financial contributions to this congregation help write the stories we want to tell to each other and to the world. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world, and this week we share this collection with Midwest Soaring. Remember that you can donate to Midwest Soaring through our website this month. Now let there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we thereby write the story of love and hope. Please join in these offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with the people around us, and with the world.
Tony and Susan are going to collect your courage cards if you haven't turned them in. So turn in your contribution and your courage card. Okay, let me tell you something, Unitarian Universalists. You can clap. You can clap when Jamie brings it home like that. You know that, right? You know, like sometimes it's like, whew. And like sometimes I don't even want to stand up, I just need to feel it. And then there are other times where like I really wanted to be standing up and clapping. So, you know, your body knows things, right? Sometimes we can be feet with heads. But I'll tell you what, when we think about courage, when we think about how we move through our world, you know, we got bodies, and bodies count. And we can know things in our body before we even know them in our brain. Feeling precedes thought. So I'm going to invite you to just take a breath right now, because you knew that was coming. For those of you who are new, I like to take some time to breathe and to be. To connect with what it is that you brought with you today in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, in your soul. Breathe. And just center in whatever way works for you. If breath is not comfortable, feel your hands on your legs. Because breathing isn't always available and comfortable for everyone. And just be aware of what it is that you brought with you today as we create a little container at this time in the service where we will share our joys and sorrows, the pieces that we bring with us, so that we recollect ourselves into community, as we will soon drop our stones in a common bowl, bringing us together. First, I invite you to just breathe. Invite you into the meditation on breathing, which begins with a drone, which is simply breathe in, breathe out. You can do that for a while. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. There you go. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And add the melody if you'd like. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe breathe out, breathe in, breathe. In a moment, I'm going to walk down and we'll have a time of sharing joys and sorrows, just being mindful that we don't have a handheld mic right now. So if you want to, you can drop a pebble in silence and or say just a few words, and I'll repeat if it's too soft. Yeah, I'll be right there. I'm going to go ahead and begin. In a moment, I'm going to walk down, and I want y'all to hear this. I'm going to drop a pebble in for Betty Fisher, who passed early yesterday morning.
oldest son's 27th birthday. Stone for a friend who works at the EPA. The office is in turmoil. Celebration for Elizabeth's birthday.
Those joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Holy One moving in, through, and among us. We hear you in the words of our friends, the desires of our comrades, and the little child's voice, in words of wisdom and prophetic truth. We hear you in our bodies and in our souls and in our spirits. And as we move through this time, may we remember who and whose we are, connected each to each in a tapestry that is made stronger by our individual threads. And you, each of you, know this. You are always and everywhere held in love and mystery deeper than you can know. I promise. A child named Esther was adopted by her cousin Mordecai after her parents died. She was a Jewish child, but hid her identity in the empire where she was living. Eventually, she came into the sight of the king, Haman. Haman was jealous of Mordecai, her cousin, but the king was besotted with Esther, and so she became his wife. Eventually, Mordecai, her cousin, became involved in a power struggle with Haman, who was an enemy of Israel at the time. Mordecai refused to bow before Haman, and it infuriated him so much that he developed a plot to kill Mordecai, but also to kill all of the Jews that were in the country at that time. Now keep in mind, Esther, her identity is held close. And Mordecai approaches her and says, Esther, our people are threatened. Can you go to the king? He does this in sackcloth and ashes as he's mourning for what will happen, with a promise to kill their people. Esther said, you know that for me to go before the king without being summoned means that I would be killed. And I haven't been summoned for 30 days. So she's thinking she's out of favor at this point. And what is she to do? Mordecai says to Esther, if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from someplace, but you may not be spared. And who knows, but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Esther resolves to do what she can to save her people, ending with the ringing declaration, "And I will go to the king, though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish." She went to the king after having a couple of dinners that the king was invited to, and then slowly introducing the plot by Haman. The king is outraged. He declares Haman to be done with and the Jewish people to be free. This story from the Hebrew Scripture is one of 2 books in the Hebrew Scriptures that are dedicated to women, brave women. Now, beloved, we are not all called to be Esther for such a time as this. And we are called to be courageous in whatever way that we can. Carol Doty, church member, said, "We find ourselves in an unimaginable crisis for which there are no words, only tears, fears, feelings of helplessness, and we must find ways of summoning acts of love." It's difficult for me we've talked about love some, right? I won't go into that. I can't separate love from courage, personally, a certain type of love. The origin of the word courage comes from kor, which means heart. It originally meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's heart. Courage. Yes. To let your beautiful voice be heard. Today, it's seen as heroics. And we're all waiting for a hero, right? There's got to be a hero out there. Isn't there another one who will save us? No. Beloved, we will save this earth, each other, those most in danger, in quiet ways, in loud ways, in bold ways, in whatever ways that is available to you. I realized as I was thinking about courage that I needed to crowdsource courage. So I crowdsourced on my social media, and I've crowdsourced with you. I crowdsourced because mine alone is not enough. Courage looks like breathing instead of panicking, rooting and grounding instead of flittering, studying and learning instead of quipping, strategizing instead of reacting. I had to crowdsource courage because I need more. I crowdsource courage too among you, and as we sing, as we consider what it means to speak, sing from courage. In a moment, we're going to sing a song that comes out of the anti-apartheid movement. The way I learned the story, the song, is that it was sung to prisoners in South Africa as they were being led to their death. I later learned that it was written by an Australian musician, Eric, who was inspired by the anti-apartheid movement. We're going to crowdsource this song too, right, Tony? We are. There's going to be a call and there's going to be a response, and then there's going to be words that we sing together. So I'm going to invite you to rise or to stay seated and to sing. The call is Simply, after I say courage, you say courage. My friend, you say my friend. You do not go alone. We sing all together. Now, I don't have the words up there because this is a movement song that we kind of sing as we're walking and praying with our feet. So you ready? Mm-hmm.
Courage.
I crowdsourced courage because mine is not enough. I crowdsource courage because courage looks like, in this moment, meeting it with an open heart, choosing healing in the face of destruction, choosing gentleness in the face of cruelty, speaking truth, protecting the vulnerable. I am being courageous because this is from y'all. I'm being courageous by living my life as a queer person, by loving everyone even though they may not love me. I'm being courageous by being open about who and what I am, even in front of those who would silence me. Courage means making a brave choice, doing what is right and what isn't popular. Can I say that again? Doing what is right and not what is popular. Courage is the ability to maintain true to who you are and hold on to the things that are important, regardless of the challenges that life throws at you. We crowdsource courage because we know that we don't have all of the answers and we don't necessarily have all of the courage on our own. Courage is being afraid of doing something and yet still doing it. Courage is standing up for all people, regardless of race, income, and status. Courage is standing up for your values even when you're afraid. Courage is saying what is right and true, living out kindness. Courage is even take a breath. Just do it. Courage is going the first step, even though you don't see where the staircase goes. This is why we crowdsource courage, because you know courage. Here you are. Courage is knowing an action may cost you a personal loss, but doing it anyway because it's the right thing to do. Courage, doing the right thing in the face of fear and danger. Courage is forgiveness without regrets. Courage is me forging ahead in spite of my fears. Courage to be bold for something you believe in. Willingness to speak up and for what is right in spite of what others may believe. Commitment to carrying on these efforts in spite of defeat and disappointment. Courage is when you are afraid of something and face it anyway. There's a lot of boldness here. Yes, beloveds. There is a lot of boldness here, which is why we crowdsource courage. Stepping out of the norm, not being afraid to love, standing up for others, acting in ways that are consistent with our values, even when it's hard. The ability to face life regardless of what it brings. Beloveds, these are uncertain times. We don't know where the staircase goes. I'm sorry. If I knew where the staircase went, I would tell you. I also believe in the phrase, the truth, we make the way by walking. We make the way together. Because in these unprecedented times, we don't know what the end game is. We just have the opportunity to choose, to be courageous, to build community where they would tear down community. The ability to say, what is the world we wish to see? The world of reverence and respect that Joseph talked about, a world where bison run free, where our indigenous siblings have their land back. Courage. We don't know what will be asked of us, but we know that something will. Courage is trans joy. Courage is people out in the streets. That's our own Marion there. Courage is speaking truth to power, speaking up for what you believe. Someone said, putting one foot right in front of the other. It's living our values out loud. Courage is, one of you said, my life. We will protect the life that is threatened. There's a lot here about coming out of our comfort zone, standing up, reaching out, living our beliefs, doing the right thing. How many of you, oh my goodness, are saying you're going to do the right thing no matter if it's hard? Well, good. Let's do that. And in so doing, what we end up doing then is creating the communities that will sustain us, that will be what's next. We don't quite know what's next. We don't. But by the looks of this, by the willingness that I see, by all of the challenges that are taking place, to the wrongs that are being done, that's courage. Rosemary Watola Tromer. I think of the bones of the unsung rib cage, the way they protect the heart. How bone, too, is living, how constantly it renews and remakes itself. I think of how ribs engage with other ribs to expand and contract. And because they do their solid work, they allow the heart to float. This is what I want to do. I want to be a rib in a body for our country, to make a safe space for love. There is so much now that needs protection. I want to be flexible and committed to what is vital, that is unwilling to yield. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote, "We are simply not to bandage the wounds of victims beneath the wheels of injustice. We are to drive a spoke into the wheel itself." In the face of evil, silence in the face of evil is evil itself. We will not be guiltless. To not speak is to speak. To not act is to act. And yet, here we are in rainbow cards. Queer, here, not going anywhere, brave, together, holding, imagining, creating, being, coming, becoming, knitting together, the words, the actions, the hope, the possibility, creating courageous community of love, radical love, fierce compassion, eyes wide open hope, resilience in the face of all that would thwart love, beloveds. It is written in the stars, and it's written in the cards. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, or the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. We share with all this world, beloveds, because we know that together we are more than we would ever be alone. So this is what I want you to know. You are not alone. I want you to remember to breathe or touch your legs or do whatever it is to bring you into the moment. I want you to take a nap. I want you to know that together we create this community of solidarity. And we, in creating this, I do believe this, in creating this, we create the future. We create the world that we wish to see. May it be so. Will you sing with me again, Courage? We're going to sing Courage and Justice and Freedom, and we're going to go back to courage. Come on, Tony, let's do it. And the people said, amen. Please join us for soup, coffee, and conversation.